First of all, we're going to talk about the Thunder B and the Thunder V. Originally came out by Hakkatsu as the Thunder B. Valken basically copied the idea and they came out with the Thunder V. Essentially, both of them use the same general technique to set off the grenade. You have the core and then you have the shell of the grenade. The core of the grenade, to arm it, you just simply cock back the hammer, and I recommend you do it in this order to avoid any accidental discharges. So cock back the hammer, put the pin in, close the spoon, and then put the pin in the final position, which locks the entire mechanism together. Insert your CO2 cartridge and don't over tighten it. When you close it, just put the cap on, just finger tight. It does not have to be an airtight seal. When you put the core together, this does need to be an airtight seal, so make sure you get that nice and tight. If you notice gas leaking out of it when you try to set them off, or they don't explode in general, you probably have a gas leaking problem, so put a little bit of Teflon tape on the threads and that'll fix that sort of issue. To set it off, all you do is hold down the spoon, pull the pin, and I recommend to toss it and release the spoon all in one motion. You can also just release the spoon and then throw it. It's up to you, do it either way. In the interest of it not going off in your hand, I recommend releasing the spoon and throwing it all in one motion. That keeps it from going off too quickly. Generally, you get about a 3 to 5 second delay, depending on whether or not the shell is actually empty. Some guys like to throw a little bit of BBs in there or some baby powder to make a little bit of a cloud of smoke. If you put stuff in the shell, it's going to make it go off faster, so keep that in mind. We did a quick sound test with a decibel meter to see what kind of sound we were getting out of these as far as the overall loudness, and you can check that out. All right, first one we're going to do here, this is a Hakkatsu Thunder B. This uses a CO2 cartridge. Flying clear across the room. We got 117 decibels. Can you see that? Yep. Now, the Thunder B and the Thunder V are not completely interchangeable. They do have some differences on the inside of them, so they are not completely interchangeable. You can use the shells interchangeably between the Thunder B and the Thunder V. However, the internal components are not interchangeable on these. You can see with this is the Valken Thunder V, uses threads on the inside of the mechanism that threads onto there, and it's the opposite on the Thunder B, so these components cannot be interchanged. The Thunder B, originally when it came out, had more metal parts than the Thunder V. The Thunder V had, for instance, a plastic spoon. Recently they have upgraded those to metal spoons, so in that department, the Thunder B and the Thunder V are about equal. I do have had some problem with the Thunder V's with the firing pin system that's in it, that it uses. It's basically like a little spike with an O-ring on it. Those occasionally fall out, and when that happens, you're kind of out of luck. Where the Thunder B has a nice rubber gasket that holds the entire mechanism together, so these generally stay together for a longer amount of time before they need to be replaced. About the same price either way, and about the same performance, aside from the fact that the Thunder B generally tends to last a little bit longer. Another choice is the Burst XL. This is by Airsoft Innovations. This is an entirely different system where the Thunder B and the Thunder V use a delayed action for it to go off. Essentially, it's how fast the CO2 can inflate the shell and explode it. The Burst XL is an impact grenade, so it uses the force of the impact to set off the grenade and make the noise. These also use green gas rather than using CO2, so it's a little more economical. You don't have to blow an entire CO2 cartridge every time you set it off. And they use a small cellophane burst disc, I believe they call it, which is just a piece of cellophane that goes in there. So it's much more inexpensive than buying an entire shell every time you want to set one of these off. The Burst XL comes in 3 pieces. There's the top, the middle, and the bottom. To arm the grenade, you could probably just start with the top of it. There's a little brass actuator in there, which you have to set Basically, you push it in from the bottom and then press it up against the side. They put a little dimple in the top of the mechanism so you can see which way you need to press it. And then you just put the pin in, which holds the entire mechanism together so it won't go off by accident. You can then set up the core of the grenade. Has this little dumbbell shaped thing with an O-ring on it. These need to be kept oiled, so the grenade does come with a little bottle of oil. So every time you arm one of these, you need to push out that mechanism, oil that O-ring, and then reassemble it simply by pressing it in so that it is flush with the top of the grenade. At that point, you can go ahead and reassemble the top of the grenade onto it. You just insert a burst disc into the bottom of the grenade and then just tighten it all together so that you have something that looks like this, so you have a nice tight fit. That does need to be an airtight seal. The green gas fill valve is on the side of it, so it comes with a little rubber band that goes around the side that keeps that from getting damaged. So insert your gas into it. When you're ready to set it off, you just simply pull the pin. And like I said, this is a device that uses the impact in order to set it off. So it actually needs to strike something hard enough to set that little actuator off. I wouldn't like beat the crap out of it or throw it terribly hard. If you throw it from about 2 to 3 feet in the air, that generally will be enough to set the thing off. We did a quick experiment with one with the decibel meter to see what kind of volume we were getting with that. So check that out. This is the Airsoft Innovations Burst XL grenade. This uses green gas. Let's see what this does. Hit! We get 114.7 decibels. A third kind of grenade, which I unfortunately don't have to show you here today because we don't sell them, at least not yet. Once I find a source for them, I'm sure I'll get them. But the third type uses either primers from shotguns or 9mm blanks. It, once again, is an impact grenade, so it actually needs to strike something. The overall design is very similar to the Burst XL. We did try one called the TRMR with our decibel meter, and this is what we got from that. All right, once again, the TRMR. Yeah, 115 that time, so about the same. So you can see from our results, generally the Thunder B, Thunder V, and the TRMR type grenades gave the loudest kind of report versus the Burst XL, which was a little quieter. It's fair to say if you want these to be louder, it is possible. You can just simply stack up more discs inside of it, which will make it louder. And you really sort of have to weigh it out, you know, which is better for you. The Thunder B, Thunder V is obviously louder, but it's more expensive because you have to purchase a new shell and a new CO2 cartridge every time you set one of these off, versus the Burst XL, which simply uses a cellophane disc and green gas, so you're talking about pennies every time you set one of these off. Some of the drawbacks with these are, you know, if you're using them outdoors and you're throwing them into areas where there's leaves and dirt, it may not go off because there may not be enough impact from it to go off. Also, just generally finding these things when they go off. You may have noticed from the video of the Thunder B exploding that the actual grenade flew up in the air and went about 20 feet away from us. So if you're using this in outdoor areas, you may want to tie a streamer or something colorful to it so that you can find it once you've set the grenade off. Like I said, we have the Thunder B and the Burst XL in stock here, and they're comparable in price when you initially buy the product. It's just a matter of refilling them. The Burst XLs, you can buy a refill kit for 18 bucks, which comes with another 100 discs, versus the Thunder V, you need to buy a whole case of shells. Generally, you're talking about $2 a shell. So just sort of weigh that out when you're thinking about which product you're interested in getting. So until the next time, don't let the bastards get you down.